So it's time for the news review, and Elton has joined me. Good morning to you, Elton.
Good morning, Easy.
Yeah, so there you have it. We finding ways to adapt to, because the Kwampa band also has their own renditions of some of these Christmas carols, and I think it's creative.
We are localizing it.
They were localizing it. Okay, so let's get into the newspapers. Yesterday, the morning after the brawl happened in Parliament, we realized that most of the newspapers, in fact, none of the newspapers got it because of the time it happened. But this morning, we have the newspapers wash with headlines regarding the brawl. And one of them we have here, boxing MPs go home after E-blows. That's a way of capturing. Boxing MPs go home after E-blows. And then we have Parliament on recess, a statement saying Parliament on recess after brawl over E-levy. And then the Find also has it on the front page, voting on E-levy postponed to 2022 as Parliament resumes January 18. And we have, so the Daily Graphic, so the Daily Graphic has Parliament fails to approve E-levy bill 2021.
So if you have the Daily Guide, it captures that beast in Parliament, free for all fights. That's according to the Daily Guide.
Calling them beasts.
Beast in Parliament, free for all fights. Now, Ghana wins Norway Chancery case, according to the Attorney General. So sue to amend incompetent motion against the IGP, more investment in the education sector. So the dispatch has its shameful Parliament. They cut the face of an MPP MP with a razor blade. I saw it. That's according to an MPP MP. And we are talking about the Minister for Youth and Sports, Yusuf Mustafa. I said I had a chat with him, and he was at the hospital at the time I spoke to him, receiving treatment for some facial injuries. Yeah,
that's serious.
Yeah, Ghana needs to tackle.
No, but that's criminal.
That's very criminal, and I don't know what the marshal and the security agencies will do about it. In fact, there's video and pictures at the time of the incidents, and you can clearly identify those who may have, done the damage to him.
Take action.
Yeah. So he was at the hospital yesterday when we spoke in the morning. He was receiving treatment for some facial injuries. The Youth and Sports Minister. So that's how the dispatch captures it. Shameful Parliament, and the Minister for Youth and Sports has become a victim to this rather condemnable act. Yeah.
And yesterday, Edward Bauer, the MP for Bongo, he was on the show. It was after the show that he drew my attention. He was in the thick of things.
Yeah.
He drew my attention to the fact that somewhere along the line, he received some hefty blow. It was like something was
heavy,
whack him from the back. And he's still nursing that injury. So it's quite unfortunate. But these things tend to happen when it was more like some mob action.
Yeah.
And there was rage running through the people. That's why we shouldn't let things degenerate to that level. Anyway, let's get on to the other stories that we have, the other newspapers. Well, let's get into the papers themselves. We start with the Daily Graphic. And that story on Ghana winning case in Norway is also here. Attorney General Godfrey Dami. And then Yuletide is here. Police scale up security, which is very important. The story by Emilia Enin Abe says the police administration has ramped up security measures, including intensifying patrolling and increasing visibility in crowded areas across the country to ensure public safety during the festive season. It says in line with this, thousands of policemen in uniform and plain clothes have been deployed to various locations throughout the country. Night patrolling has also been increased, particularly in places that police identify as vulnerable areas. This is good, even though already we've seen that in the last few weeks since the new IGP took over, we're seeing increased police visibility. And they've located or situated or positioned themselves, stationed at some vantage points, which is really good. It's quite reassuring.
But I also hope that they deploy more to the traffic-prone areas. Because this morning, for example, between Tesano and Joy FM, it took me a while to get here. because most of the traffic lights are not working, and drivers, everybody appears to want to move at the same time.
All,
And it's creating a lot of traffic on that stretch. And I'm hoping because today and tomorrow and 24, people will be going out a lot to do shopping or whatever it is.
Last minute shopping.
Yeah, if they should deploy more people to traffic-prone areas, I think it will help.
Okay, great. I believe the police will take that up. And Côte d'Ivoire dockers suspend strike. Court allows Zuma to appeal. That's inside Africa. And we move on to Biden provides 500 million test kits to tackle surge. Romanian crowd tries to storm parliament. And there's an opinion piece by Elizabeth Ohene, says the blue kiosk option is here. In the Daily Graphic, it says the cavalier attitude towards a dramatic change of address can only mean these are people who, in spite of working in a digitalization project, really think in terms of the blue kiosk option. You probably would have to read the story. So you read the opinion piece so you can get a lot more on that. Police initiate moves against defilement in the Volta region. Okay, and I see a photo of a Fiating, DSP Fiating, who used to be in Accra. She's now in the Volta region, and in a demonstration with one of the pupils during their sensitization session. Says the head of the Volta Regional Police Public Relations Unit, DSP Fiating, has observed that an early detection of threats of sexual violence on children could save them from a lifetime of physical and psychological woes. Indeed, that's true. I would say my Merry Christmas to DSP Fiatenge in the Volta region. Women advised to lead in water sector. It's also another story here. Then on page 16, Parliament fails to approve e-levy bill. It's here. And there's a photo of the Brawl as well. And we're sorry, Majority Leader apologizes for Brawl in Parliament. It was you who said yesterday.
Yeah, they will come and apologize.
Apologize.
And they will do it again, I'm sure, when they come back in January.
Yeah. Speaker took leave on health grounds. That's the minority saying that. And it's interesting, you know, yesterday, or when the Brawl happened, the moments before the Brawl, we heard Afenyo Makin, the Deputy Majority Leader, who was saying that the speaker was nowhere to be found.
Yes.
Yesterday, I got a call from Mike Gizzo, a former minister in the NDC, and he was drawing my attention to the fact that it's impossible that the speaker will just vanish into thin air. And if the speaker indeed vanishes into thin air, on what basis did the first deputy speaker assume the chair? Because the first deputy speaker won't just assume the chair because the speaker
is not there.
Is not there. And indeed, yesterday, in an interview with the first deputy speaker, he indicated that the speaker told him
to sit.
So, on what basis was Afenyo Makin saying that the speaker was nowhere to be found when he had left instructions?
And remember that this position taken by Afenyo Makin is also collaborated by the majority leader, who also said that he attempted to call the speaker several times, he left messages on his phone, but none was, replied. And so for him, for the majority leadership, their position appears to say that they had no official communication from the speaker regarding his absence from the seat.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Muntaka Mubarak, he would not say that the speaker told him that he was out of the chamber because of health reason. He says that we all know that the speaker is going through treatment. Yeah. So, I mean, there appears to be... No, but usually, if the speaker is exiting the chair or is unable to sit, the first or the second deputy speaker cannot call the House into order unless he had the express permission of the speaker to do so. Indeed, even before he takes the seat, the clerk or whoever is at the table office will announce to members that the speaker is not around, and so this deputy speaker is taking over.
Yeah. And indeed, the first deputy speaker indicated that. He said it. I heard him clearly yesterday on Joy News. In fact, we'll look for that interview and bring that to you, because I heard him clearly indicate that he was told by the speaker
to sit.
Okay, so endorsing sitting MPP MPs alien, dangerous. That's Nano Bribuahin saying that, you see, one of the proposals that the majority leader has been pushing for some time, and as you pointed out, is that they would want to have the incumbent MPs giving some leverage and giving some protection so that they're not contested. But he's saying that endorsing sitting MPs, MPP MPs, alien and dangerous. So, well, I'm sure they'll discuss all of that eventually. They'll come to some conclusion. Proposal for Children's Park facelift developed. That's the acting gender minister saying that. It's Mrs. Cecilia Dapa, acting minister for gender, children and social protection. Yesterday, a question was asked, if Adjwasafo is available, why is she not going she's available to be in parliament? Why is she not going to take over the ministry? And well, probably does it mean that she's not interested in the job anymore? She can't do the job. Do we have to appoint someone else?
Well, I think the president will have to take a decision on this. The year is almost ended because you have a minister who is taking charge of two very important ministries, gender and sanitation. The member of parliament for Dom Kwabena is in town. In fact, yesterday when Parker spoke to the majority leader, she was right, behind him. Yeah. Meaning that she's available. Yeah, she's fit. And so why is she not going back to the ministry to do the ministry's work?
Anyway, Central Region House of Chiefs resolves 17 disputes. And in the center spread, CIMG confers fellowship on 2 marketing practitioners. E-payment platform delivers efficiency, transparency. That's President Akufo-Addo saying that. And Ghana Tourism Authority embarks on enforcement exercise. More people seek legal aid, and 2 fined for demonstrating against Newmont. Ghana Library Authority wins UN award. Professor Farquhar inducted as first GTUC Vice Chancellor. UNESCO honors World Vision to others. Few more stories in the Daily Graphic before I hand over to you, Elting. So, NICU soldiers supports baby on oxygen. And in business, companies urge to tap into 1.5 trillion renewable energy market. Let's relive virtue of gratitude. That's Cardinal Turkson saying that. Let me find out which Cardinal Turkson this is. Okay, it's the same Cardinal Turkson, who we're learning that only recently resigned from a post at the Vatican. Then DVLA to introduce stringent issuance regime for DV plates. The DVLA is about safety, and so all our efforts are geared towards ensuring safety on our roads, both on the side of the driver and the vehicle. Use skills to transform society, Education Minister tells graduates. Change ways of doing things in COVID-19 era. That's Aisha Akrofi saying that. State PROs urge to sensitize public to government business. And in sports, Black Stars coach confident of AFCON success. Indeed, we're wishing the Black Stars all the best in the AFCON. Water facility to serve 3,500 in Ahanta West. That's on the back page of the Daily Graphic. Traders arrested over adulterated palm oil. Elton.
Right, so easy. So let me start with the dispatch. The dispatch says that they cut the face of Mustafa Yusuf with a razor blade. I saw it. That's according to the Member of Parliament for Otafo on chaos in Parliament. And the Member of Parliament for Otafo, Vincent Eko Asafwa, has revealed that amidst the brawl and chaos that ensued between the minority and the majority side in Parliament on Monday, the Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf was harmed on the face with a razor blade by an NDC MP. He would not mention the name of this said NDC MP. He was speaking to Pure FM when asked by the host to name this MP. He said he would use more adjectives if the airwaves admitted or permitted. Now, he described the speaker in a very derogatory remarks. I won't be able to repeat these words here. He said he's disappointed. If you allow me, I'll use more adjectives on him. He relinquished his duties and he must be blamed. I'm disappointed in him. We, the young ones, before we came to the House, somehow looked up to him to be a better legislator. I am disappointed. The NDC MP used razor blade to harm the face of Mustafa Yusuf I was with him, and we took him to Parliamentary Hospital. I suspect 2 MPs. Now, that's according to the Otafu MP.
You think these comments could get him into trouble?
Of course, to use words like this. I think if a member should raise this matter on the floor and say that this is affront to the dignity of Parliament, the Speaker, if he feels that...
May refer to the Privileges Committee.
Can refer the conduct of the MP to the Privileges Committee to substantiate. Yeah. I think sometimes when the people are in the heat of some of these, they tend to use words that they later will come up, regret, withdraw, and apologize, because to use some of these words on the Speaker of Parliament, who was not even the chair, yeah, I don't think it is acceptable. Now, also, there's also the good side to the chaos that happened in Parliament yesterday. Now, according to the paper, Kennedy Yapon, who's a member of Parliament for Assin North, and Sam George, I mean, who is Christian, a red-headed person in Parliament. These, according to the paper, were the 2 MPs who were seen, you know, calming them down, and somehow were successful in getting some of the backbenchers not to take part in the chaos that ensued on the floor. The paper is applauding them for the action that they took during the confusion in Parliament. Now, there's an article on the housing conditions in Ghana. There's another one from Professor Michael Quay, Law, Justice and Human Rights. Now, let me just read a few parts of it.
Okay.
Now, it says, NDC cadres and operatives held the church in contempt and terrorized worshippers whenever they could. An example was in Kumasi, which stand or on Sunday, 7 February 1992, members of the Lord is My Shepherd Church, a church in Kumasi whose membership included several West African nations, were in the middle of a service singing, clapping, dancing, and praising the Lord when proceedings were rudely interrupted by a revolver-wielding soldier. Major Dako drunk and wild, stood in the middle of the church and ordered the congregation to stop the noise. His interpretation of the worship, Major Dako ordered the leader of the church, Odifo Samuel Asari, to kneel before him. The prophet obliged, and the major placed his foot on the head of the prophet and said, I'm baptizing you, say amen. So these are some of the things that happened during the revolutionary era, and he's put them in a book. So this part is serializing it. I'm sure if you get it, you will read and get to the bottom. Focus on Ghana's involvement in the Liberian War is also captured here in the district. Republic of Ghana needs to tackle violent MPs, Kwadwo Opon Kroma, and he is reacting to the matters that took place in Parliament yesterday. And the House is on recess till the 18th of January for the Christmas break. And my information is that when they come back, the e-levy again will be on the floor. The government position is that without the e-levy, in fact, meeting revenue target will be extremely difficult. So
it's become very
now that you've actually closed the toll booths, losing almost 70 million Ghana cedis, or at least over 10 million Ghana cedis, and the e-levy will not take effect until maybe February, meaning between January 1 and 31st of January, you will not be able to rake in the revenue that is needed.
There's a hole.
Yeah, that will be a big hole to fill. So 18th of January it will come, and my information will also come under a certificate of agency, but it will continue the process as it was truncated in Parliament yesterday.
All right. Let's get to the finder on the front page. Voting on e-levy postponed to 2022 as Parliament resumes January 18. We'll work tirelessly to protect lives, as the IGP is saying that. Dr. Bawumia to launch e-pharmacy digital platform today. Digitalization of the economy would help protect the public purse. That's the president saying that. And so those stories, some of those stories are on page 4. AMA receives 3 refuse trucks to improve waste collection. And minority keen on capping government borrowing next year. Again, minority remains resolute to fight e-levy. That's Haruna Idrisu. So in that, government's compulsory directive spikes up COVID-19 vaccination. Okay, that's interesting. So government's recent directive compelling all citizens to get vaccinated by January 2022 has triggered a sudden spike in COVID-19 vaccination in the Ewutu Senya West district. Anyway, if that's what it's going to take for people to get vaccinated, because the more people are vaccinated, the safer we all are.
I mean, it's a big blow for event organizers ahead of Christmas. Those who have already booked venues for their musical concert here and there. Now, the directive from the Ghana Health Service yesterday is that they will not allow anybody to hold an indoor event, and that if you should go ahead and do it, they may come and close you down. Few days to some of these events. I'm wondering whether it came so late. It came so late.
The bookings,
Can they just say that we only admit people who can show proof that they've been vaccinated?
Yeah, they've been vaccinated.
I mean, I don't know how. Like, personally, I think that the directive came too late, and it is going to put people in a very bad situation, especially those who invested money in some of these things.
Yeah.
I have to go and look for an open theater or something of a sort. I'm wondering how this is going to be. I'm wondering what went into, some of these decisions.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably thought, okay, we could manage, but then they looked at the numbers, of cases that are coming in, and they're like, okay, especially because the Omicron, the latest variant, is quite highly transmissible.
But as at last week, we're recording 12, 20 new cases every day. Now this one is 315.
315?
Yes, and our active cases are jumped from 600 as at last week to 1,800. Meaning that there's a steady rise. And we are yet to get to the peak of the Xmas festivities where we're going to have a lot of, people coming into contact with each other. In January, maybe the numbers may look bad. But I'm hoping that they and the event organizer can come to some kind of an understanding to move these things forward.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, and then here we have 2 people die of COVID-19 in Doma East District. And Christian Council blasts MPs over shameful chaos. And the census spread, prepared to lead the world, Dr. Baumia urges national skills medalists. And the fire service advises Ghanaians to observe fire safety precautions. That'll be it for me for the finder.
All right, so if you take the Ghanaian time, let me just look at the front, the middle page of the paper. Gridlock in Accra, drivers, commuters experience awful Yuletide traffic jam. And just like previous years, the traffic situation in the country's capital, Accra, ahead of the Christmas festivities, continues to heighten, making both drivers and commuters distressed. Drivers and commuters suffer awful gridlock on major roads such as the Accra Central, using the Graphic Road, Kolebu, and they've mentioned some of these areas. I'm sure that if you are moving out of your home today, these are the places you should look out for. If you don't have anything urgent doing in town, perhaps you should consider staying at home. And if you're going to the market, there are so many markets spread across the capital. You don't really need to be in Accra if it's not so urgent. But anyway, they say that things in Accra are cheap.
So cheap.
They rather will endure the traffic.
But Christmas certainly is a really bad time to step out.
Of course.
The traffic is crazy.
It's terrible.
It's really
terrible. And the government says that it has approved the allocation of funds to cater for the activities of regional security councils, including payment of allowances to members. This forms part of efforts by government to strengthen the various RegSec to ensure and enhance the country's chances of dealing strongly with security threats at the local level. The Minister for National Security, Albert Kandapara, disclosed this in Accra yesterday as a sensitization forum organized by the Ministry for Regional Ministers on the new national security strategy launched by the President. So that's good news for the RegSec. Finally, they can be taking some allowance. VRA to digitize operations this year, that's according to the CEO, and for the first time in 9 years, VRA recorded profits running into 157 million Ghana cedis. Open drains Alarajo poses security risks to motorists and residents. I'm sure that the highways authorities will take notice of this and try and fix this. Now let's go to the sports page. CAF sent top officials to Cameroon ahead of the AFCON preparation. Remember that in January we'll have the African Cup of Nations. There's been calls by Europe, especially. There's even the FIFA president has also added his voice, calling on CAF to consider suspending the Confederation of African.
They said it's going ahead.
Yeah, they say they're going ahead. They have no intention of doing that, and sometimes I tend to support them. We've had Euros at the peak of the COVID. It did not lead to the suspension of the Euros. So let's see.
Except in Africa, we haven't vaccinated a lot of people.
That's also the issue. Bank of Ghana forward suspected cases of financial crime to Yoko for investigation. And so some more stories. Premier League to continue through festive periods amid COVID-19 record cases. And,
So if you're just stopping the EPL, why do you want us to stop?
AFCON, because some of our players are playing in Europe. They don't want them to come to.
Let's get to my Joy Online and look at some of the stories there. So, Christmas and COVID-19, an event cancelled is better than a life cancelled. That's the WHO saying that. Well, it's worth considering. If you can cancel your event and save a life, that's good. All right, we have other stories. Parliament adjourns proceedings to return on January 18. Leadership has been missing in the 8th Parliament. That's Suleiman Abrahima saying that. Ghanaians voted for you to engage in debate, not boxing. Christian Council tells MPs. And Asaman Kese Yampas, Berima Pubi, Asumeni II, no chief of Asaman Kese, arrest all culprits or chain into police. E-levy, executive appears to be very recalcitrant. Suleiman Abrahima again. And clearly, this parliament has lost it from the start. That's something Gladia Yenini. Joy FM's Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols comes off on Thursday. In 2022 budget, minority engaging in Orwellian double speak. Martin Amidu saying that. All right, so that'll be it for the news review. Thank you very much, Elton, for coming through. And we're taking a break. We're bringing you sports next to Stay tuned in.